Welcome, effectivelyyours.com friends. This is Yvette Nathan Jones, and I'm so excited to bring up a wonderful friend, a former classmate, and she is a literacy professional, transformation coach, author, and speaker, Miss Marcia Collins Brown. She will be talking with us today about resiliency and how we can instill that within our kids and how the teachers can use strategies to do so. So welcome, Marcia. Welcome to Effectively Yours.
Hi, Yvette. Thank you so much for having me on as a guest. It is an honor to serve you and your audience. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for joining us. It's definitely an honor to have you. So we're going to jump right into it. So just give us a quick rundown or just briefly tell us about yourself. Who is Marcia Collins Jones?
Well, who is Marcia? Well, Marcia, I am the author, speaker, and coach. I'm an author, speaker, and coach, and CEO of What's in You Coaching. I just recently published my second book, Removing the Mask, Uncovering Love, Confidence, and Freedom, which basically tells my personal story. Is a powerful catalyst to help women discover issues and uncover things from their past. It also has resiliency strategies in this book, and so I help women and Christian professionals and others bounce back, learn from their past lessons, and all of these things are aligned with God's word.
Good. That's so great. So tell us a little bit, what is resilience? When it comes to resiliency, how do you define that?
Well, I define resiliency as the ability to positively adapt, grow, and thrive no matter what life throws in your pathway. Resiliency is simply being able to bounce back quickly from temporary setbacks.
Okay. So why do you think it's important for students to be resilient, to have resiliency, to channel that?
Well, I'll tell you, Yvette, some of the things, there are certain things that make up resiliency. So I'll start there. But what's the things that make up resiliency? Number one is emotional regulation. Students have to be able to regulate their emotions. Controlling impulses, that's number two.
Mm-hmm.
Empathy is number three. Being optimistic, that means thinking positive, no negative self-talk. Also, analyzing the cause. So why was that assignment late? What did I do the night before? And having self-efficacy, saying to themselves, I've got this, I can do this. And also, last but not least, reaching out to others. So what I have seen as a professor, as an adjunct professor, is that students stop coming to class. They don't complete assignments or promise to follow up with the professor. They also drop classes and they don't take time to navigate interpersonal relationships, which are so important. So it's important for students to have resiliency because it's a life skill. Students are faced with a lot of challenges, and so incorporating intrinsic motivation that provides an internal drive for them to accomplish a task or goal, that's connected with self-efficacy. Also, locus of control. Internal locus of control is basically them taking responsibility for their actions instead of them saying, well, I got a 60 because that professor didn't like me or that teacher didn't like me. Right. They're saying, well, I got a 60 because I failed to go to class on Tuesday and Thursdays. I didn't take notes. I didn't reach out to my team member who was in class. They're taking that responsibility off of others and they're putting it back on themselves. So that's internal locus of control. Then you have external locus of control, which is the opposite. Well, I didn't pass that test, or I didn't, I didn't make it through that class because the teacher just doesn't like me. So they're putting the blame off of themselves, toward others.
Good. So that's some good information, which leads me into the next question. When is resilience used, or give me an example of when they would need to channel that as far as college and career readiness. Why is that important moving forward into the workforce or for college or post-secondary education?
Well, I mean, it is so important because, as you know, when we get into the workforce, we are no longer working as individuals. We're working in teams. We're working in groups. So the number one thing is that, you have to be able to reach out to others for help. Is basically they have to, self-regulate their emotions, so they can't just kind of get angry all the time. Oh my goodness, this didn't go my way. So they have to be able to regulate those emotions. And that's so important when they enter the workforce or when they're getting ready to enter college. College is very stressful. You have lots of reading, there's homework to
Right.
do. If you're not reaching out to your professors, establishing that relationship, that is going to hurt you. You also need to establish relationship with your employer. All of those things. You need to be optimistic, have a positive outlook. You also need to, hang with those people who are going in the same direction. So it is so, so important. It is a necessary life skill to be successful in life and career and college.
Okay, and you know what? It's very important because it's easy to quit, and we have to tell our students they have to push through, just like we do as adults. Because elementary and secondary, high school, and so forth, that's easy. It's when they
Yes.
move forward where
Yes.
they have to really channel that resiliency and
Yes.
and try to see it through. So you kind of already touched on it. How do we cultivate resilience in our students?
So how do we cultivate resiliency in our students? So are you talking about from a teacher perspective or from
Yeah,
a
yeah.
okay. So as a teacher perspective and as a formal teacher and a current literacy coach, what I often coach my teachers in is helping students, they need to capture those opportunities, allow them to go through the productive struggle. So I'll explain that. So at my school, we use techniques within LSI, that stands for Learning Science International. Within that, these students, so the technique that they use, let's just say, is team ownership. As a teacher, I have to allow my students to struggle a little bit with that task, allow them to work with teams. I'll
Right.
give them questions to kind of, ignite their thinking, talking about that. They have to, it can't be like where the task is too hard or too easy. So it has to be that happy medium. That's the productive struggle. If I rescue them too easy, then they haven't learned from their mistakes or they haven't learned the task. So it has to be just right. That's the productive struggle. And as parents and teachers, we want to make sure that we're not rescuing our kids too early. They must go through that productive struggle.
Right, and you just talked about parents. So is there anything you want to add? Any additional strategies you might want to mention regarding that? Because I mean, you were very thorough on that.
Okay.
Anything else you want to mention that teachers or parents can use?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So the second thing is praise. I at my school we have what you call super students. So these are students that are our bubble students right at the cut. And so what we typically do, we go in, we offer encouragement. And what I have found just by talking and building relationships with students is that they really need encouragement. So a simple, hey, good job. You can leave a sticky note on their desk or just a praise. They need that. Students are faced with so many things at home. They're challenged and, parents are getting a divorce. And so they really, really need to know that they're doing good, just a glimpse of something. And then the third thing, teachers want to establish a cool down corner. I have not, in so many years of teaching, over 17 years, I have seen so many students just go out and rage. They have mental breakdowns where they have
Right.
fits.
Right.
So if a teacher, like, I know this student, and so the student's going to get angry, have that student to go into a corner, without disturbing the rest of the class, teach them how to count to 10, whatever cool down that you can offer, have that to be a sacred place in the classroom. And I want to say, building confidence, again, leaving little sticky notes, catch them doing something good. Give them options and choices also for doing assignments, tell them, hey, you can either, you can be either talk about this as a facilitator or you can write, because we all learn different ways. And as a literacy coach, I have to mention this, connecting with characters. So this is so important because this is a reading strategy. When students are connecting with characters in books, so using those text-to-text connections, text to self, text to world. They are learning about resiliency. A lot of our books talk about resiliency. For example, Chester's Way by Sheila Ray. This book talks about resiliency. The Brave by Kevin Hincks talk about resiliency. And novels like Hatchet by Gary Paulson provide a lot of talk when it comes to resiliency. So having students to step into the story, making those personal connections as they're reading, will then help them be resiliency. And also giving data chats. So you want to encourage constant progress. How am I doing? So we do that by having weekly data chats, whether your school uses iStation, iReady, whatever have you, DRA, whatever you can do. In Florida, along with LSI, we use what you call success criteria. So that serves like an exit ticket with the students. So the student has their success criteria, which is aligned with that learning target. So it'll say like, I can identify similarities or differences about the characters in the story. So this is a checklist for the students to kind of do a self-monitoring of their learning to determine if they're getting it. So that's a great way. So as a teacher or literacy coach, I am then verifying their learning by going around and saying, okay, hey, you got that. Or giving them a little probing question and kind of help them along the way. So those are a few strategies that teachers can do in the classroom to help students be resilient.
All right, Marcia, that is some great information. I really appreciate you taking time to talk with me and my Effectively Yours friends. It's all about providing unique strategies and just something different and fresh for the teachers and parents in the classroom and at home. And my platform is just to, I'm on a mission to spread the word about the importance of non-academic skills. And so I thank you so much for being my first guest. Yay!
Thank you so much for having me.
So listen, tell everyone how they can contact you. Give them all your handles for social media, everything.
Absolutely. Okay, so I am Marcia. That is my website. So you can go to www.iammarcia.com if you want to learn more about what I do, and also purchase this very nice book called Removing the Mask, Uncovering Love, Confidence, and Freedom. I am on a mission really to help women find their purpose and their passion, align with God's words, and have authentic confidence. And so I provide practical resiliency tools and lots of other things to help women do that. Also, my Twitter handle is at Marcia Y. Collins. Instagram handle is Marcia Y. Collins Brown. And I'm also on LinkedIn, Marcia Y. Collins -Brown. And of course, Facebook, Marcia Y. Collins Brown. I also have a practical resiliency community, which is a closed community that is within Facebook. There's also an Unmasked and Confident Women movement. That's also a private community within Facebook.
Well, thank you, Marcia. And I just want to remind everyone, if for some reason you didn't catch those social media handles, you can always contact me, email me, and also reach out to me on my social media, Effectively Yours. That is on Instagram and on the Facebook page. And as always, please read, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching our interview, and please leave a comment. There is more to come, and the best is yet to come.
The best is yet to come, yes. And remember, you can be resilient. Resiliency is not something that we're just born with. It is something that we can definitely learn to do when we practice doing it every day. And the most important thing, because we're dealing so much with mental illness, is reaching out to others. I cannot emphasize that enough. And so if you're going through anything, if you are struggling as a teacher or a parent, reach out to a professional, a medical professional, anyone that deals with depression. Please reach out, because so many women, so many people are suffering in silence. And I really want to emphasize that we're suffering in silence. I was one of those persons that suffered in silence. I felt like I couldn't talk to anyone. no one knew that I was depressed, and so it is a big thing. And so we just want to bring awareness. Okay, be resilient
Absolutely.
and thrive.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.